Fox 32 has information indicating the FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending.
This morning, 3 lawsuits just announced against controversial suburban Mayor Tiffany Henyard. The plaintiffs, they are all former employees of Thornton Township and
aide to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been indicted for bankruptcy fraud. It comes amid ongoing questions about Henyard's spending and leadership.
And Lee Henyard actually has 2 political jobs on 2 public payrolls as mayor of South Suburban Dalton, or as she calls herself, Super Mayor, and supervisor of Thornton Township, where she makes over 200.
The investigation into Henyard is nothing new, and many individuals have come forward to share how her corruption has impacted them directly. Among those speaking out are the members of Dalton's Board of Trustees, who have long made no effort to conceal their disdain for the mayor. It appears that Tiffany has finally had enough of their attitude and is now striking back. The whole situation began with the trustees, who were the ones to draw legal attention to Tiffany's questionable handling of the village's finances. Once loyal to their mayor, these individuals spared no effort in revealing the truth to the public. Carmen Corrales called her a manipulator who exploited the hardworking people of Dalton, showing no remorse for her actions.
WGN Investigates has learned South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township Board, but now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against Henyard. Carlisle released a statement to WGN that reads in part, for the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents using her position to increase her influence, all while projecting a false image of success funded by the hardworking taxpayers of Thornton Township and the village of Dalton. Henyard shows no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers. Henyard has denied wrongdoing and claims her opponents are out for what she calls clickbait. Tomorrow at 9, tune in for exclusive new reporting on Henyard's spending that she tried to keep secret.
The controversy has been gaining momentum for some time, but recently things have really escalated. The relationship between the mayor and the trustees is undeniably tense, though they had previously avoided publicly displaying their power struggle. That all changed at this particular meeting. Despite the trustees' decision to postpone it, Tiffany went ahead with the meeting on the original date. To make matters worse, she appointed a new administrator, which raises 2 major issues. 1, it's likely illegal without the board's approval. And 2, it only adds fuel to the fire, especially since Dalton already has a functioning administrator.
Dalton appointed new village staff members tonight.
She did it at a meeting that she says trustees who oppose her tried to cancel. WGN's Jenna Barnes has more.
Well, one of those appointees is a new village administrator, even though there's already an administrator, a former Henyard ally, Keith Freeman, currently doing the job. This all happening at a meeting the Board of Trustees postponed until next week, a move that Henyard's lawyer says is illegal, so she went ahead without them.
Tiffany's lawyer may have successfully made a strong case against the postponement, referencing the Open Meetings Act, which clearly states that any meeting cancellation requires a 10-day notice to the public and to the mayor. The trustees, however, failed to provide any notice at all. Despite this, Tiffany's argument loses some credibility due to her recent appointment, not just because of the nature of the decision, but also because of the individual she chose to place in a position of power next to her.
The Open Meetings Act says, you know what you got to do to cancel one of these meetings? You got to give 10 days of notice. 10 days of notice to the public. Certainly notice to the mayor. You know what they did? They didn't give you any notice at all.
His history is quite troubling, and there's broad consensus that he belongs in jail alongside Tiffany, not holding such an important position. However, this isn't the first time she has appointed someone with a criminal background to a key role. Police Chief Louis Lacey, for example, was fired due to charges of bankruptcy fraud and perjury, only to be reappointed later under Tiffany's administration.
In Dalton tonight, as Mayor Tiffany Henyard's latest hire is now under fire.
Fox 32 has learned that Dalton's new village administrator has had multiple brushes with the law and was fired from a high school for allegedly sexually harassing a 15-year-old girl.
Dane Placco has the latest chapter in this ongoing Dalton investigation.
My next appointment will be for village administrator.
Tuesday night, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointed a new top aide to a $100,000 a year job, 34-year-old Michael A. Smith, who's been active in South Suburban politics for years.
The reason for Mike is he has a wealth of great information. He's a young person, ex-politician. He knows the laws like the back of his
After stirring up a hornet's nest, the mayor continued to attack the trustees, blaming them for the unrest currently plaguing Dalton. To put it mildly, she made some bold statements in an effort to drive her point home.
That's because Smith has been in and out of trouble with the law for years.
I'd like to thank the residents as well as the mayor.
Public reporting shows Smith has been charged at least 8 times with crimes ranging from domestic battery to official misconduct. In 2012, Smith, then a young trustee in Dixmoor, resigned after pleading guilty to theft when he allegedly stole gasoline by posing as a police officer. Then in 2018, Smith was working as an assistant dean at Thornton Fractional High School when he was fired for sexual harassment of a female student, grooming a student with lascivious intent, and inappropriate aggressive behavior towards a male student. According to his termination letter, Smith was accused of contacting a 15-year-old female student on Snapchat with inappropriate comments and making her his girlfriend. Then earlier this year, Smith was fired from the Echo School District for falsifying information on your employment application.
We have a constant pattern of her hiring people without doing a proper background.
This, of course, isn't the only controversial meeting in Dalton. The Attorney General's office, under Quaim R., found that Dalton violated the Open Meetings Act during its June and July sessions. Residents voiced concerns about limited seating, blocked entrances, and a hostile atmosphere. A critical letter, sent to the mayor's mother's house, was the only evidence provided, though it contained no threats and arrived after the meetings. Just today, a new development.
Tonight's meeting, if you can call it that, was much less attended. We counted fewer than 20 people who showed up.
Just pay attention to who bring all the drama to your community. Where all the hecklers that's normally in the crowd, they're not here today. Where everybody that got something to say when everybody up here talking, giving their opinion. That's how you know everybody are plants in the audience.
And just last week in Thornton Township, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard couldn't hold a meeting because the trustees there didn't show up amid ongoing power struggles in both of the governments that Henyard runs. In Dalton,
A significant number of people were unable to attend the Dalton municipal meeting, leaving many frustrated outside. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's meetings have turned into a spectacle, with residents arriving early to address issues like unpaid bills and payroll. This is far from the purpose of public meetings, which are meant to be accessible to all who wish to speak about the mayor and the overall condition of the village.
Attorney General Kwame Raoul's office found Dalton violated the Open Meetings Act at its June and July meetings after complaints from residents that Henyard's administration limited seating, blocked the entrances to Village Hall with barriers, and created a hostile environment. The acting police chief at the time cited threats to Henyard's safety, including a letter mailed to Henyard's mom's house that was written in blue marker. It stated, "See you in prison. Your mother raised a loser. Your mother is a loser." The AG's office finding that the letter mailed from Rhode Island was the only evidence that the board provided in support of the manner in which it conducted the meetings in question. The letter was critical and insulting, but it did not implicitly or explicitly threaten violence. More importantly, the letter did not arrive until after the 2 meetings.
Citizens were warned that any disruptions could lead to the meeting being shut down. The few who managed to get in after enduring unnecessary screening and security measures had the chance to speak on the issues at hand, yet they have yet to see any real action taken against the corrupt mayor.
Fraction of the people who actually showed up to this meeting were able to get inside due to what the police chief said was some unspecified security threat. But the people who were left out here in the parking lot refused to go unheard. Ask Dalton residents, and many will say the bi-monthly municipal meetings run by Mayor Tiffany Henyard have become a regularly scheduled spectacle. The increasingly irate residents arrived plenty early for the first of the month meeting. Village residents clamored against the double doors tussling and then navigating a security screening for a highly coveted seat at a public meeting where items like unpaid bills and payroll were supposed to be the topics of discussion. Mayor Tiffany Henyard took her seat on the dais to preside over the board.
Tiffany has been in conflict with 4 trustees who accuse her of mismanagement. The meeting fell apart without accomplishing any business after the trustees walked out, calling for a special meeting next Monday. Henyard and the trustees, who have been seeking a federal investigation into her handling of village affairs, have been at odds for months. The trustees claim that Henyard has left vendors unpaid, withheld business permits, and stonewalled village leaders and voters for her own personal gain. Speaking of mismanagement, someone pointed out that Tiffany had deceived the trustees into passing laws such as one imposing a $500 fine for an unmowed lawn instead of the previous $75. This highlights why the board took action against the mayor, suggesting this may have happened multiple times. Eventually, anyone would grow tired of her blatant disregard for the citizens.
Any outbursts, if there are any clapping, or anything that is, if we get another credible threat, the meeting will be closed.
People are frustrated. They want answers. They want transparency. This has to end. I'm so disappointed in what's been happening in Dalton. Mayor, you need to step down because you have disgraced this village. You really have.
Henyard sat stoically, taking in the ire of some of her constituents and the praise of a few.
It is under Mayor Henyard's tenure that I have felt the most connected and valued.
We need to come together and support her.
But before any actual village business could be discussed, the quorum of village leaders dissolved over disagreements in how the meeting was being run.
The Open Meetings Act requires that we have enough space for everybody to get in.
Leaving Mayor Tiffany Henyard to assail her colleagues.
Our job is to make sure we take care of the business and not allow the business.
One of the major accusations against Tiffany is her misuse of Dalton's finances. Reports claim she has been spending thousands of taxpayer dollars on personal expenses, including luxury trips, purchasing cars for herself, her mother, and even her boyfriend, and curiously, building an ice rink that was neither approved nor wanted. She even boasted about the rink on social media, a move that seemed unwise given her mounting legal troubles. Despite all that has transpired recently, the mayor has yet to practice any caution. Old habits die hard, especially when someone isn't interested in changing them, as is evident with Henyard, who, despite being under public scrutiny, continues to misuse the village's funds.
Henyard and 4 of Dalton's trustees who've asked for a federal investigation into her handling of village affairs have been at odds for months. The trustees say Henyard has left vendors unpaid, withheld business permits, and stonewalled village leaders and voters for her own personal profit.
Recently, a new development went up in the village, but the company that created it is yet another example of something Tiffany did without the consent of the Board of Trustees. This is particularly unfortunate, as the trustees appear to be genuinely concerned about the village's future and the well-being of its citizens. Despite their best efforts, the outlook seems grim. The mayor's reckless spending and corruption have taken their toll, and the damage is far too significant to be easily undone. And this is all while she still holds the position of mayor. There's more to come, and many are unsure whether Dalton can recover without external intervention.
Tiffany Henyard, they raised those fines from $75 to $500 if you did not mow your lawn, and they were trying to bring in revenue for the village. But I went back in time and I looked at the actual board meeting where they voted. She tricked the trustees into voting yes for it without having anything in front of them. She had the lawyer get involved and acted and convinced the trustees. The trustees asked, and she pointed out, quite just blankly said, it is just for the vacant homes. This has nothing, and she said, word for word, this has nothing to do with the current residents, the people that live in Dalton. Has nothing to do with the people that live at 602 West 7th Street, okay, that occupy their home. This is for the vacant homes only. She convinced the trustees. They were hesitant, but this was back before all the major controversy, and so they decided to pass it because she said it would bring in revenue and that it was only for these vacant.
After all, the mayor is doing everything she can to avoid facing her legal troubles. While any reasonable person in her position would likely focus on staying out of jail, Tiffany seems far more desperate to retain her role as mayor. This is why her defense attorney is not only trying to portray her as innocent, but also attempting to garner sympathy from the citizens. The narrative being pushed is that Mayor Tiffany Henyard is not charged with any crime that she has actually committed.
Banners were never approved by the village board.
They don't make any sense at all. They're all of the mayor. It's okay to have a banner that says welcome to Dalton, but you don't need to have the mayor's face posted throughout Sibley Boulevard.
Trustee Jason House in a statement told us, it's deeply unfortunate that the administration has chosen to squander funds on self-promotion while our fire department has gone without a contract for 5 years. This blatant disregard is a slap in the face to the hardworking individuals and the creditors burdened by the millions of dollars of debt incurred by the mayor's reckless spending. Our community deserves better. NBC5 reached out to the Henyard administration for comment, but we didn't hear back.
Now that the world knows what she's doing, I'm hopeful that more people will get out of their comfort zone and come and help us.